With Monster Hunter World Iceborne comes Master Rank, a challenge that will test every hunter, but with the right gear and builds, hunters can overcome anything. I'm Darcblade, and we're back with even more amazing builds for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. In this episode, we're going to be looking at full set beginner builds for the Heavy Bowgun. The Heavy Bowgun is in a very good place with Monster Hunter World Iceborne, able to dish out a ton of damage which can result in quick hunts, but it also comes with a variety of builds that hunters can craft thanks to the sheer amount of ammunition that the Bowgun has available to it. It also comes with defensive options thanks to the Bowgun mods, resulting in very strong builds. Some of these builds are even strong enough to take on Tempered Elder Dragons, which was surprising to say the least. The builds I use with the Heavy Bowgun tend to specialise in one of the various ammunition types that the weapon has in its arsenal. But a disclaimer for this series, as Iceborne is still young, although not at the time of this video, most hunters may not have had time to farm everything they need for the most high-end game builds. So this series instead focuses on full set beginner builds, highlighting some of the amazing armor designs while at the same time helping new Iceborne players get through to the end of the main story. As a result, these builds will not feature Elder Dragon loot or augmentations, and most of the customizations with them come in the form of different jewels, charms and weaponry. So the first build I use is the Great Jagras Spread build. This is a build that makes use of the spread ammunition, namely spread 2 ammunition. Now normally the Heavy Bowgun can make use of spread 3 ammo quite effectively, but with the Great Jagras set and weapon, you can effectively make use of the spread 2 ammunition and have a comfortable all-rounder build at the same time. So for this you'll need the entire Great Jagras set, which includes the Jagras Helm Alpha, Melt Alpha, Van Braces Alpha, Coil Alpha and Greaves Alpha. I'm also using an Awakening Charm 2, and for my weapon I'm using the Gluttonous Dire Cannon, which is the Heavy Bowgun found in the Great Jagras tree. As for your jewels, you've got a few to play around with here, but not loads. And of course, depending on your jewel collection, you may have to replace some here and there. Firstly, I've gone for Tenderizer jewels to give us that maxed out weakness exploit skill. I've then gone for a release jewel to max out the ammo up skill, a mind's eye jewel for that ballistic skill, and then I've gone for expert jewels to provide us a little bit of critical eye. So, if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 100 health, 100 stamina, which will be 150 health when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You'll have an attack of 446 with 20% affinity, which will be actually 70% affinity when you're on a hunt and you're attacking monster weak points that have been tenderized first. You'll have average deviation. For the custom Bowgun mods, I've gone for 4 close range up mods and a shield up mod. In all honesty, you can drop one of these if you so desire. If you're comfortable with the slow movement of the Heavy Bowgun, you could drop the shield mod in favour for the special scope, which will increase your damage. I personally haven't gone for the special scope, as I do find it disorientating to use, unfortunately, but I cannot deny that it does vastly increase your damage potential if you do use it. Anyway, you also have the Wyvern Heart special ammo, and as for your defense, you're strong against water and dragon, but unfortunately weak to the other elements. But as for your skills, you have attack boost level 4. Attack boost increases the raw damage of our build, while at the same time once you get it to level 4 it also gives us a bonus 5% affinity. You have recovery up level 3. Recovery up increases the effectiveness of healing methods, so when we take a potion to heal, the amount it heals will be increased. You have ammo up level 3, increasing the amount of ammunition we have in a clip or magazine. You have critical eye level 3, increasing the affinity by a set percentage. Weakness exploit level 3, weakness exploit increases our affinity again when we're attacking monster weak points, and if those weak points are tenderized first via clutch claw attacks, this affinity bonus is increased even further. You have Veil Extender level 3, a byproduct of the gear, but allows us to dodge and roll further distances, which is very useful for the Heavy Bowgun as it counters the slow mobility of the weapon. You have Speed Eating level 3, again a byproduct of the gear, but allows us to consume potions and that quickly. You have Free Meal level 1, again another byproduct, but gives us a chance of not consuming a potion or other consumable when we use it. And you have the Ballistic skill level 1. The Ballistic skill for Heavy Bowguns shortens the distance before ammo reaches its maximum power. So basically with spread ammo it allows us to get a little bit further away from monsters and still have our critical distance effect in place. So there we have it though. As you can see, it is a relatively simple build. It does come with a few quality of life skills combined with DPS skills. Like I said, it does focus on the spread ammunition, so you will have to get up close and personal with monsters. But nonetheless, this build is perfectly capable of taking on most monsters in the game. It has a little bit less survivability thanks to having a default health pool, but thanks to the Veil Extender and the shield mod, you should still be alright, as long as you're careful when taking on a monster. But anyway, let's move on to the next build, which is a little bit of a quirky build, known as the Viper tobi-kadachi ailment build. This makes use of the entire Viper tobi-kadachi armor set as well as its weapon, and makes use of the various ailment ammo it has available to it. Apart from using poison and paralysis ammo, its primary source of damage is through piercing shots, to which the Viper tobi-kadachi weapon is exceedingly good at using. So for this build you'll need the entire Viper tobi-kadachi armor set, which includes the Viper Kadachi hat beta, meld beta, braces beta, coil beta and grease beta. I'm also using an attack charm 4, which will be an attack charm 3 if you're going through Monster Hunter World Iceborne story for the first time, and for my weapon I'm using the Crimson Kadachi Lion 2, which is the heavy bowgun found in the Viper tobi-kadachi tree. As for your jaws, you've got a fair few to play around with here. Firstly, I've gone for Pierce jaws to increase the damage of our piercing ammunition. I've then gone for Venom jaws to slightly increase the damage and build-up of our poison ammunition. Then gone for Paralyzer jaws to again slightly increase the build-up and potential of our paralysis ammo. I've then gone for one attack jaw to compensate for the fact that going through the story for the first time you would only have an attack charm at level 3. After which I've gone for Vitality jaws, to which these all came with byproducts in the form of Mighty jaws to give us both maximum might and health boost. Finally, you have a few jaws to play around with, to which I've gone for an Expert jaw, and I should note as well that I've also added Paralyzer and Venom jaws to my mantles to increase the potential of our poison and paralysis ammo, but this probably won't be available to new players in the game. But anyway, if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health when you're on a hunt, and you've taken all your relevant consumables. You'll have an attack of 474 with 35% affinity, which will actually be 65% affinity when you're on a hunt, and you have full stamina. You have no deviation, and when it comes to the custom mods, you've got a few to play around with here. Firstly, I've gone for a special scope to demonstrate it with this build. I've then gone for a power barrel to increase the effectiveness of our piercing ammunition. I've then gone for ranged attack up mods to increase our damage when we're at range, and finally I've gone for a shield mod for a little bit of defense. You've also got the Wyvern Snipe special ammo, and when it comes to your defense, you're strong against water, fire and dragon, but unfortunately weak to thunder and ice. As for the skills, you've got a little bit of a mixed bag here. You have attack boost level 5, although this will only be level 4 if you're going through the story for the first time. You have health boost at level 3, increasing our health to that potential maximum of 200. Maximum might level 3. Maximum might is an odd skill that increases our affinity so long as we have full stamina. However, unlike the base version of Monster Hunter World, should you use your stamina, the affinity increase won't kick in again until after a few seconds of your stamina being full. Anyway, you have poison attack level 2, although as it shows here it's potentially level 4, where we're wearing our mantle. This increases the effectiveness and build-up of our poison ammunition. You have paralysis attack level 2, again increasing the effectiveness and build-up of our paralysis ammo. You have piercing shots level 2, increasing the damage of our piercing ammunition. You have evade window level 2, a byproduct of the gear, but allows us an increased invulnerability period when we perform dodges and that. You have critical eye level 1, byproduct of the jaws. Constitution level 1, again another byproduct of our armor. Constitution decreases the stamina cost of certain actions such as dodging. You have evade extender level 1, again a byproduct, and quick sheath level 1. Quick sheath allows us to sheath our weapons more quickly, which is quite useful for the heavy bowgun. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a quirky build. I wouldn't call it the most efficient, but it is fun to use, especially when you're playing in a group. So the main idea was to poison a monster, then paralyze it, and then switch to your piercing ammo to deal the most damage. When the paralysis and poison wears off, rinse and repeat until a monster is dead. Making use of the apothecary mantle can also help in this regard, as it will allow you to poison and paralyze a monster more often. The main reason we haven't gone for ammo up with this build is because the Viper tobi-kadachi heavy bowgun, when it comes to piercing ammo, has quite a large clip already. Like I said, this isn't probably the most efficient build out there, but I also wanted to show off a build using the Viper tobi-kadachi armor, which is one of my personal favourite Rarity 9 armors. But anyway, let's move on to the next build, which is a little bit more efficient, which is the Nargacuga True Spare Shot Piercing build. This build makes use of the entire Nargacuga set as well as its weapon, giving us that true spare shot set bonus, which gives us an increased chance of not using a bullet when we fire our weapon, and this is combined with high damage, affinity, and the piercing ammunition type. So for this build you need the entire Nargacuga set, which includes the Nargacuga Helm Beta, Meld Beta, Braces Beta, Folds Beta, and Grease Beta. I'm also using an Attack Charm 4, which will be an Attack Charm 3 if you're going through the Monster Hunter World Iceborne story for the first time, and for my weapon I'm using Baleful Knight, which is the heavy bowgun found in the Nargacuga heavy bowgun tree. As for your duels, you've only got a few to play around with here. Firstly, I've gone for an Elementalist duel, as Baleful Knight is classed as an Elementalist weapon as it doesn't have any elemental ammunition available to it. I've also gone for an attack duel to increase the attack boost of this build, and it's also to counteract the fact that my attack charm is level 4. I've then gone for a piercing duel to increase the piercing shot skill. I've then gone for vitality duels to max out the health boost, and 2 of these came with byproducts in the form of flawless duels to max out the peak performance skill, and finally I've gone for an expert duel to provide us some critical eye. So if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You have an attack of 485 with 45% affinity. You have no deviation, and when it comes to the custom mods, I've gone for a power barrel to increase the effectiveness of piercing ammunition. I've gone for a recoil suppressor to help counter the recoil when we're using piercing ammo. I've then gone for ranged attack up, and finally I've gone for the shield mod. Again, if you wanted to swap these out for the special scope to increase your damage, you can do, but as I mentioned, I do find it a little bit disorientating. Anyway, as for your special ammo, you'll have Wyvern Snipe, and when it comes to your defense, you're strong against water, neutral against ice and dragon, but unfortunately weak to fire and thunder. As for the skills, you'll have attack boost at level 5, although this will only be level 4 when you're going through Monster Hunter World Iceborne story for the first time. You'll have evade window at level 4, although it shows it at level 5 here thanks to the mantles we're using. You'll have health boost level 3, increasing our potential health to that maximum of 200. Peak performance level 3, this is a byproduct of gear and duels. Peak performance increases our raw attack so long as we have full health. You have Stamina Surge level 3, this is a byproduct of the gear but helps us recharge our stamina more quickly. You have Piercing Shots level 2, Critical Eye level 2, and Non-Elemental Boost level 1. Non-Elemental Boost increases the raw damage of a build so long as it doesn't have an element or ailment. All those elements or ailments are hidden, or in the case of Heavy Bowguns, it doesn't come with any elemental ammunition. You'll also have the Nargacuga's Essence set bonus, True Spare Shot, giving us an increased chance of not consuming a bullet when we fire the gun. And this is a wonderful skill for the Heavy Bowgun. Not only does it potentially increase our damage by saving us from reloading as often, but it can also save on our ammunition overall, which will stop us from having to go back to camp to resupply all the time. So there we have it. As you can see, it is a pretty strong build that makes use of the piercing ammunition. Of course, this can be made stronger depending on the duels you have available to you, and if you want to go into the mixed set territory. Again, the main reason we haven't gone for ammo up with this build is because the Nargacuga Heavy Bowgun also has quite a large magazine size when it comes to piercing ammo. But nonetheless, this build looks awesome and plays awesome. Now when it comes to piercing builds with the Heavy Bowgun, and light bowgun to some extent, you have to take into account what monster you're taking on. The longer the monster is, the better these builds are. For example, if you're taking on Glavenus or Anjanath, these builds are going to work wonders. But if you're taking on something like Kuroyaku, this isn't going to be so hot. Also, when it comes to longer monsters as well, sometimes it's better to tenderize through clutch claw attacks the middle parts of a monster, as this is normally where the majority of your piercing shot damage will hit. So that's something to take into account. But anyway, let's move on to the fourth and final build, which is one of my personal favourites again for the Heavy Bowgun, as this build was able to take on Tempered Elder Dragons, which is the sticky ammo Tigrex build. This build uses the entire Tigrex set, including the weapon, and makes use of the sticky ammunition type. As a result, it has high damage, high survivability, and doesn't rely on affinity at all because sticky ammo does fixed damage. So for this build, you need the entire Tigrex set, which includes the Tigrex Helm Alpha, Mel Beta, Bracers Alpha, Tassets Beta, Greaves Beta, and I've gone for an Unscathed Charm 2, and for my weapon I'm using the Accursed Bellow, which is the Heavy Bowgun found in the Tigrex Heavy Bowgun tree. Now a quick note as well, the Accursed Bellow is the Brute Tigrex version of this Heavy Bowgun, but even the Heavy Bowgun below this, the normal Tigrex Heavy Bowgun, will work fine with this build. Anyway, as for your duels, you've only got a few to play around with here. Firstly, I've gone for artillery duels to max out the artillery skill. This will increase the damage of our sticky ammunition. I've then gone for KO duels to max out the slugger skill. I've then gone for some vitality duels for health boost, flawless duel to max out the peak performance skill, and sated duels to increase the free meal skill. So if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You have an attack of 491 with minus 15% affinity, which doesn't really matter when you're on a hunt. You have high deviation, unfortunately. As for the custom mods, I've gone for 4 shield mods and a power barrel. The power barrel should help increase the knockout potential of this build. You also have the Wyvern Heart special ammo, and when it comes to your defense, you're strong against fire, neutral against water and ice, but unfortunately weak to thunder and dragon. As for the skills, you have earplugs level 5. This is a byproduct of the gear we're wearing. Earplugs is a wonderful quality of life skill that prevents you from being affected by any monster roar. This leaves them open for attack or allows you to retreat or heal or whatever. It gives you an open window basically. You have attack boost level 4, health boost level 3, slugger level 3. Slugger increases the knockout potential of this build, and with sticky ammo already having bonus knockout effect, this allows us to topple a monster quite often. You have peak performance level 3, you have artillery level 3. Artillery increases the damage of sticky ammunition, and at the same time it also increases the damage of wyvern ammo as well. You have speed eating level 3 and free meal level 2. As for the set bonus, we'll have the Tigrex essence, free meal secret, which allows us to get the free meal skill to potentially level 3 up from just level 1, giving us an even more increased chance of not consuming items when we take them. So there you have it. As you can see, this is a very strong build that makes use of sticky ammunition. As a result, we don't have to worry about affinity whatsoever. This also means that we don't have to worry about using clutch claw attacks to tenderize monster body parts. All we have to do is shoot the sticky ammo onto a monster's head and watch the damage rack up, while at the same time watching the monster get knocked out again and again. This can help crowd control a monster when in a group, and overall this is a great build to use. Now with this build, the main reason we haven't gone for the ammo up skill is because the main ammunition type we are using, sticky free, comes in auto load format, so ammo up would have no effect on this ammunition type. The main downside about this build, and in fact can apply to the other Heavy Bowgun builds, is that you have to be used to crafting ammunition on the fly. When I say on the fly, it means that you have to craft ammunition on a hunt. So when you go on a hunt, you have to make sure you have the materials to craft sticky ammo whilst you're fighting a monster. Using your Hot Wheel is definitely advisable for this, as you can use it to craft ammunition, but once you get it down, it's a wonderful tool for Heavy Bowguns. So there we have it. Those are beginner full set builds that I use for the Heavy Bowgun in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now of course there are a lot more endgame mix sets to come, and as I always say, you don't have to use what is shown in these videos. Use what you want to use, as most tasks in Monster Hunter World Iceborne can be taken on with any item or gear set. Also, builds taken from previous seasons can still work in Iceborne, at least for early game. They'll have the DPS, but they may lack the survivability. Also, this episode signifies the end of Season 3, as with Season 4 we're going to be moving on to endgame mix sets. So I hope you check back for that. But anyway, I hope you found this video helpful or informative, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you beginner Iceborne builds for the Heavy Bowgun in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.